Yep,
Okay,
I
so
got it.
I just started streaming Inigo as a heads up.
Okay.
All right, so um, I guess for this stream, I'm having Inigo on, a good friend of mine. For those who don't know, Inigo is the brilliant mind behind any of the cool fancy things you see on my stream or my Patreon content. He is behind. Also, this is the test run. A little bit different because I know Inigo personally, so I'm having on stream. But this is a test run for a benefit for my new I, I guess my new Patreon benefit, which is I will review matches from patrons a few times a month, depending on the length, and then give feedback. Obviously, priority goes to the higher tier subscriptions, but if those are unclaimed, they will definitely trickle down to the lowest basic forest tier as well. So again, that's $5. Pretty I think pretty good bang for the buck at the moment, especially since Inigo is the first one to claim this privilege. Not to mention, I would have done it anyways because he's a good friend of mine. But yeah, Inigo, do you want to say a little bit about yourself? He goes by runkor on Discord and on Moto.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Actually, it's a privilege to be the first one to try this this perk out of the Patreon. And yeah, I think uh, everybody in the reclaimer community should be thankful from you because you've been putting out content for years now, and just having the Patreon is like the how we give you something back, right? So I'm excited, and I, I know I will learn a lot from my mistakes today.
I mean, that's the only way you learn, right? I'm sure we'll catch things. Again, like I make mistakes. I think anybody who thinks they play perfectly is probably either not seeing it or exaggerating their play because I don't care if you're um, Paulo or just learning the game, right? Everybody's gonna make mistakes, and Paulo
Yeah.
obviously being the probably the best player in the world at the moment. So I'll go ahead and start this. I'm just watching the. For those who don't know, um, 1 second. For those who don't know, I'm just on Inigo's stream, so I'll go ahead and post that here at right now. Um, 1 second. So this is the link in chat. Excuse me. So I guess without further ado, I've muted the your stream earlier as we have both you and I on the stream. Also, it's so that it doesn't distort my viewpoint. We've agreed to 4 matches to review out of the 7 so far. Namely because I think you learn more in your losses, or sometimes there's a close win. And in this case, this round one that Inigo wanted me to review. So I guess without further ado, we'll go ahead and start. And then Inigo, if there's anything that you want to chime in, just feel free to chime in at any time.
All right, will do.
So for me, I see a bunch of arbors in my hand. I probably will mulligan this. I don't know if you kept it or not.
I believe I mulliganed. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's very slow because you have a lot. You don't hit all your land drops to turn 5, right? So at least 2 of your cards are already dead.
Yeah, I gave a little time extra on my opponent because I was setting up the stream actually. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I lost those 3 minutes. That it will come to bite me at the end of the match. You'll see.
Oh, I see.
Maybe you want to replay it on increased speed a little bit. So
How would I do that?
on the little wheel, yeah, you can just set the speed a little higher, probably.
I guess we can go maybe 1.5.
Yeah, whatever. It's good for you.
All right, so this might be helpful actually going at 1.5 speed. I'm
Yeah.
not super. I can't multitask very well, so I can't go too
But,
much faster.
if you see anything you want to comment on, you just pause it. I believe it will be better than
What did
going
you
all
bottom
through.
right now? I think I missed that.
Oops. A dryad, probably?
Yeah, I think this hand is a little bit shaky, but yeah, I think I probably don't keep the bog to be honest.
I avoid going down to five
Yeah, I
as
agree.
much as possible.
I think if it was a dryad that you bought him, I probably bought him the bog over the dryad. That's the only thing. All right, so this one I know I stress deck thinning a lot. Unfortunately, here I would do it a little bit different because I think given that we're a little flooded, I would save the fetch for an arbor.
Mm,
So something to keep
right.
in mind.
To take it out of the deck, right?
Not so much to take it out of the deck. It's just that you want a good mix of lands and creatures. And the nice thing about fetch lands and why they're so strong is it's either in our deck, right? It's either an arbor or
Mm.
a what's it called? It's either an arbor or a land.
Olandra, right. So here he blocked an attack, a free attack with the druid. I
Mm.
said okay, he had so I anticipated the snapcaster, but I said okay, if he wants to trade a snapcaster for a druid, I'm fine.
Yeah, I think that situation. I probably would not offer the trade. And then they could play Ice Fang too, right? And then I don't think I'd attack there
Hmm.
because you don't
Fair
want to
enough.
trade an Ice Fang for
Uh,
a Heritage, right?
yeah.
And then
No,
I
no,
think
I wouldn't. You're right. I wouldn't. That was a mistake. Yeah.
and then another thing there is given that we're not using all our lands there and we don't need to play around days or anything like that, I would have probably just played the Bog,
Mm. Right.
right? Because then you can threaten natural order next turn.
You're effectively saving a land drop for later because it's not usable the turn you play it. You're right.
Right, right, right. I mean, little things to clean up,
Yeah, yeah,
especially since
definitely,
the first
definitely.
match of the day. Like, I
Hmm.
just wanted to.
Yeah, in Spain, it was a good time. I think it started like 1 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it was actually this time schedule is awesome for Europeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think heads up here by not attacking now, right? Like, you don't want to run into an Ice Fang.
Hmm.
We don't know what they're on, but I think our creature's just more worth it, more valuable than theirs.
Yeah, definitely. Mm. I think I was checking their his ponders and library stuff. Yeah. So this is something I mentioned on my stream sometimes. I feel like the opponents use the prismatics as swords 5 to 8. Like they don't save it for big targets like grist or harder things.
It's usually because they can't really afford to.
Hmm.
So yeah, heads up play there, hitting
Visio, right?
the
Instead of the
visionary,
mana.
right, right, because
Yeah.
we're gonna get grist or presumably, right, or they think we might get Archon, right? They don't know what's in our hand.
Yeah. So I was expecting the first one, getting the first one counter. So I said, okay, I might save the arbor for the second shot at the natural order.
I mean that makes
But
sense. I mean, for those of you who are gonna be tuning in, we are watching on 1.5 speed because this is off the Twitch, right? Not a YouTube, which replay, which it would be faster.
so yeah, Uro out of it. At that point, I know they are in the band with red, like Antipile, I guess.
Right, right. I think from this point, oh, I was just gonna say I think they're probably favored, but that was a very good draw.
Actually, I considered at this point, I considered conceding for time reasons. Since if I try to keep a positive mind, thinking like, okay, I can win games 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to, but I need to have time, enough time to do that. So I considered conceding after I saw the Euro because Euro plus Caracas that represents a lot of cards and life.
Mm-hmm. Um, I probably wouldn't concede at 18 minutes. Because, well, I think it depends also how comfortable you feel your play speed. I've never, not never, but I generally don't run into issues with time, even if I'm streaming or something, and then I've like eaten up a clock to like
Hmm.
conversing with the
I
audience or
do
something like
play.
that.
I do play a little slower. I think because I told you many times, I have a little bit of time issues,
Mm-hmm.
especially if the matchups require to me to take a lot of small decisions or a lot of interactions, like the tabernacle ones, or
Mm-hmm.
those are really hard for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anytime playing against Tabernacle, it's time can be a factor, right?
Hmm.
Interesting. Looks like you're tapping for a natural order here. I probably,
You have
well,
played the Vision,
yeah. I'm like,
so pause it here for a moment. So here, my assessment of the situation was okay, so you just played an Uro, and I tried to prevent them from recurring it because they already showed me the Caracas, right?
mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, if it resolves, I the way I lose this is so I try to apply what you tell on stream. So I said, okay, so Uro is a card and life game from my opponent. I need to stop that. So what I tried was
Actually, no, you
targeting the
have a
Uro
good
in the
point. I
graveyard.
didn't. You have a good point. I didn't notice the Caracas at first. Watching this, I think given the Orioles in the yard and they have the Caracas here, so they can just continue to do it.
Yeah.
I think I probably deal with. I agree with your play. Also, I want to say hi to Mike, who's on stream now or on in Twitch chat. So, since you're just trickling in right now, we're reviewing Inigo's Legacy Challenge from today. Four of the seven matches, namely three of the losses and one other match that this match being the first match being the most interesting one that he felt.
Oh, by
But
the way, I'm going to. Mm, Oh, my Twitch sub renews in 2 days.
and then we're watching on 1.5 speed. I do also have Inigo on the stream in my audio right now on Discord, so for him to offer any feedback as we watch. This is a new feature for my Patreon. I won't have all the guests on like I am having Inigo, but also Inigo is responsible for my stream, so uh, special perks for him on this.
Thank you. So what he died now? I don't remember. I think he played Jace. I don't remember. Yeah, Jace. Yeah, lots of cantrips.
So the logic here is you bounce because if they have removal, they remove the endurance anyways.
Right, exactly, right. So I thought that okay, so if he bounces anything but the endurance, it's it's good for me, and even bouncing the endurance gives me another shot at his graveyard. So that was
Um,
pretty bad.
quick question. I would have probably played well, one, I would have played the revisionary pre-mate main phase, but it
Hmm.
didn't matter here, I guess. The reason being also is you kind of have a free attack there because of the mana, by the way, with the Waterwood symbiote.
Oh, true.
Right, they only have access to red, green, and white, so they can't Snapcaster or Ice Fang. And it's game one, so no containment free, so something to keep in mind.
Hmm. Does the band with red run containment pressed? I'm not
I don't
sure.
know, but they could, right, in the sideboard.
Yeah, yeah, their mana base supports it. Okay, so at this point, I think okay, so I don't think since we only ran one single endurance in the main deck from game
Mm-hmm.
one, my shot was already gone. So yeah, the deal is pretty much sealed by now.
Yeah, you have to get kind of lucky from here.
Yeah, here I think he bounced the druid like hoping for a top deck glimpse that to get me out of here, but
Right,
it
right.
didn't happen.
Also, the reason why I'm gonna try to do these reviews more is the feedback I seem to get from a lot of viewers is uh, they found these reviews to be the most educational, more than like me normally streaming because when I'm trying to multitask different things, I also can't explain as in detail. Also, you probably learn better from seeing other people's play slash than yourself, right? That's the other thing.
Yeah, you don't tunnel vision into your own place.
Right, right, right.
So yeah, my funeral is just
Yeah, at this point,
it's
you only have like maybe one or two more draws before the Earl's gonna get really out of hand.
yeah. So I think my gauge here was like, okay, the moment it goes out of the 24 magic number, I will concede something like that. I think I mentioned it on stream.
Right, right, okay.
But yeah, by now I know, I already know I'm doomed.
So it sounds like we probably lost game one here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
No surprises.
No, I think the Archon being drawn was pretty bad for us. It would have
Yeah.
been equally bad if it was Progenitus, obviously, but I think at least
Yep.
post board you have more answers to Earl.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing I know you're not playing the Caracas is Caracas does answer Earl, even though it's not great. It's Earl is one of the ways we lose, so it's something worth thinking about.
True. 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 So it fox it, but I can't do that with the symbiote and an elf, right? So what's killing me here, I think, is a life slash card draw engine he has.
Right, right. So my point more so with the Caracas is they're gonna have to refuel the graveyard before they can escape it. So that might be enough to just buy. Not to mention the mana they have to spend to actually recast it. Sometimes they can't afford to, right? If you're threatening a kill.
Yeah, agree.
All right,
It
so
buys you yes a lot of turns against if you're facing a single Uro as a threat. Yeah, agree
right,
to
right,
that.
right. All right, so I think this one is okay.
Yeah, it's you can skip it.
I'm gonna try to see if how much we can skip.
I think I trust in my odds too much because I got the shepherd right, so I try to, but it's just not
All
relevant.
right, we're
So yeah,
sideboarding here.
sideboard I'm interested a little bit. So I bring in the endurances
I
as we
like that.
talked earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So the siding is pretty straightforward. I got two heritages, thinking on the Staticaster and maybe it's 5 color even.
Uh-huh.
So I got the druids in favor
Yeah,
of the second grace and the
I just
endurances.
don't think we need the druid for these kind of games.
Hmm. So this is a pretty good hand.
Yeah.
So there is our guy.
Yeah. Also on my Patreon, for those curious, I just released a guide on Lair the Hydra yesterday. So for those of you who don't know, this is the new tech in the build, and if you want the latest technology and how to play with the card, there's a good guide that I wrote yesterday on it.
So that small pause I made, I was like considering where either run in Wasteland or because I'm a little bit afraid of the Wasteland plus um,
Loam, right?
Loam Lock. Yeah, because my mana is not so strong, right? I was considering going for something else. And
Yeah.
here my reasoning for going Reclaimer Symbiote instead of just turn to Visio was just trying to have the Reclaimer active ASAP, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So one thing I might have done differently though is I may have just played Arbor Go, and the logic is I want to get Cradle online, right?
Yeah, yeah. I thought about that, but I felt I was ahead because of their board state, right? They didn't do anything,
That's fair.
so
I think that
so
both lines are good, regardless here,
I
right?
got it more relevant to just advance my board state because they didn't have even white fetched up or anything, right? So
Right.
I I opted for the Visio plus Shepherd line.
Mm. Also, I would. Yeah, I think that's fine. One thing I may do though is I would have main phase bounced the visionary
Hmm.
because you don't leave your creatures, your shepherd or reclaimer susceptible to removal if you end step that way.
Right. You keep the symbio activation to be always up on their turn.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. I try to do that, but
I see
yeah.
Ethan's.
So oh,
Go ahead.
no, no.
I see
Like it's so
Ethan's in the
nuts.
chat now, and he must have had tried Lair recently because he says it's nuts.
Yeah, actually, he proposed Laird to be tested like 2 weeks ago on the Discord.
Oh, did he?
Prompts to
Okay,
him.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Prompts to him for that. So I was making sure I had access to my one-off limited edition heritage.
Yeah, Heritage is quite good on this board state here.
All right. So according to my notes, this glimpse draw me 7 cards. So brace. So whoever says reclaimer versions can't glimpse.
I think what happens is you can still glimpse. It's just not in the same way that the other build, the traditional build, does it, and people have a hard time adapting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Plus, one thing I feel we need to be more careful with, if you
Uh
really want to go deep with your glimpse, is having an untapped target. Like I try to have the Dryad ready on my glimpse turns most of the time,
huh.
so I actively look for that. Right?
So I see HC Fox is very happy with this today's stream. Hey Dustin, how's it going? Yeah, we have Inigo on the call at the moment. This is his match or his a few of his matches from this morning's Legacy Challenge. I mentioned at the very beginning of the stream that one of the new features on Patreon is I will review matches from select uh, well, as pretty much right now, anybody who will message me, I'll probably review it because there's no line. But so first come first serve basis. But I do have Inigo on the line from today's challenge, and we're gonna review a few of the matches.
Oh, could you rewind a little bit and pause it, please?
Sure, sure. Go ahead.
So how do you evaluate the trick with endurance and evoking for mana? So previous hand was pretty good, but it required us for evoking for mana. Do you think it's reasonable or it's just bad?
Let me take a look in to respond to
Yeah, yeah.
Dustin. The Patreon's $5 a month. One second. So for the lowest tier, and as of right now, like I said, priority would be to the Bayou tier, which is $10, just because like the higher tier. But nobody, Inigo and one other person, just today actually, were the first ones to message me about reviewing their videos on stream. So essentially, pretty short line at the moment. So for those of you who want me to review their streams, or leagues, I should say, that would be one incentive for the Bayou tier at the moment. But yeah, I
Hmm.
would not keep this hand, Inigo. The
All
only
right.
way I keep this hand is if I'm playing against Reanimator, and even
Yeah.
then, I'm not evoking turn one.
Okay. So please, HE Fox, it's on the chat. He was online with me today on the stream.
Mhm.
Don't spoil for the viewers.
Yeah. So also one thing I want to know, besides the actual result, actually, I'll pause this one second. Did we just mull twice?
Yes, we moved to 5.
What was
That's
the
what
first hand?
the first one was the evoke hand, and the second hand was a no-lander.
Oh, okay. I saw you put back.
That's the redundant Visio and something else.
Okay, I need to do a better good job. Here we go.
This was the mole.
Yeah, so I would actually put the grist back here, right? Because
Oof.
you really, really are gonna have a hard time getting the 3 mana. Like,
Mm,
because we're down 2 cards already. Um, And then I agree with putting the glimpse back. We're not gonna get a glimpse for a while.
All right. I think I put down the glimpse even. So I'm here. It's me, tunnel visioning into turn two grist.
No, I understand. I just would play it safe is all. Your tunnel vision worked out though. Although I would probably lead with basic force there though, because you had the second fetch.
Hmm. Right.
Because if they wasteland you and stores you, you're at zero mana again, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for this. Was that follower? Yeah. Oh,
No,
thank
he
you for the
subscribed with
subscription, Eddie.
Prime.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Also, I think if this is the same Eddie in my Discord, they had the nice, assemble the Infinity Gauntlet meme.
True to that.
That was actually something I thought about like a couple days ago. But I'm like terrible with these making these memes or whatever. I have to rely on other people to make them for me.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe
You
that
just
was the
came.
same Eddie because I figured like you got the notification from Discord or whatnot. But yeah, thank you for doing that. I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, I think I'm happy to see Dustin 4-1 with the layer build. I mentioned this already on Discord, and I try to be a little bit cautious when it comes to overhyping a card. But okay, so I'm gonna pause it for a second. In the past, when there's been a good card, pretty much every time I've played it, you can tell immediately. The only exception to that rule, where I thought the card was not so great initially, and then I came back and revisited later on, and it was good, is the card Endurance. But every other card that we've played before, it pretty much took one game or two games before I realized this card is very good. Whether that be Once Upon a Time, Elvish Reclaimer, Allosaurus Shepherd. Although my misevaluation of that was I figured, oh, we don't need that many copies. It turns out it's kind of free at the moment, so that's why we're playing the three copies instead of the one that I initially had. But yeah, aside from Endurance, like for the most part, my evaluation of a card has been you can tell within one or two games whether the card's going to be good or not. And I believe Lair is the real deal, like based on just the small sample size. So to answer Dustin's question, no, I don't think you're dumb. For that, the reason to have two or fewer natural order is because of Delver and where we board out the card. But the thing is, Delver is at most what 20 at most 20%, maybe 25% in the heavy meta of the overall pool. So I think natural order is too important for the other 75%. Even in a worst case scenario, right? Like, so that's why I think you want the three copies. You don't really want four, in my opinion, because like drawing two is awful. But two is not like the end of the world. I know Reed Duke had like some success, so there's that. Hopefully that answers your question, Dustin. So I think it's like not the worst thing, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, Hail Hydra is something I've been thinking about lately, right? Since we're talking about the MCU universe too.
So here I remember mentioning that I was like super um, I was super afraid of them being able to like untapping with the library feels like you're losing already almost.
I think
Y-
it depends. Like, if you don't have anything going, I would agree. But you have your draw engine yourself here, so I think it's okay.
you probably wouldn't attack there.
Yeah, I would not have attacked there. Our
Yeah,
creatures are more valuable than theirs. You don't want to just like lose to something like Snapcaster or
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I don't know why I did that. Probably I don't know. I should I must catch the VOD to have a a reasoning for that. But now that I'm seeing it, makes
I
no
mean,
sense.
it happens. I've definitely been blown out myself by these kind of mistakes, so I wouldn't beat yourself up too much for it. Also, there I probably would have led with the visionary first, to be honest. Just to check your draw first, right? Because that it unlocks heritage druid anyways.
Yeah, so it opens up more lines, right? If
Right.
you yeah. Yeah, that's something I try to keep in mind. Like, for example, using all my draw effects before passing the grist, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or before once upon a time, I try to use my glimpses or vicios before if I have to main phase a once upon a time.
Right. I think also one part about this version of the deck that I see a lot of the people who played the old version make is there are times where it's correct to just once upon a time to try to hit a land drop, and I don't, and I'll see players play a visionary instead, and they miss on the land drop, and it's just backbreaking. Hopefully that makes sense to the audience.
Yeah, don't underestimate hitting land drops every turn.
Mm-hmm.
So here I have a tough decision. I don't remember what I picked. Yeah,
When in
hopefully
doubt, just take the cradle. I agree with that decision.
I here comes up having the second copy of Grist, and I got blown by Fluster with I think it's a misboard by my opponent.
Uh huh.
I
I
do
think
you,
Fluster is actually good
do you
against
think?
elves for what it's worth.
Yeah. Huh? Okay. So
I like it personally.
all right, all right. I thought it was a mistake to board in Fluster because I guess that comes out of the sideboard, right? It's not like your stock forces of whatnot. So
Some people have it main, but yeah, out of this kind of build, typically in the sideboard, it's not unreasonable to play main. I think.
so if it defaults, I secure the endurance landing.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
and if they don't, well, I cast the endurance anyway, but get an extra card.
Right.
So you see, I told you at the beginning that the time that I wasted at the beginning setting up the stream, it
Uh-huh.
was come to bite me. Look at the timers.
Yeah, yeah, you're dangerously close to timing out here. Something to work on potentially in the future. Luckily, it didn't matter here, right? I think the only matchup where I'm consistently behind my opponent is against lands because of Tabernacle, right? Like all the triggers just completely screw up my clock.
Yeah, I try to yield when I know there's not gonna be like reclaimer or wirewood shenanigans going on, which rarely happens.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Oh, so here we draw my MVP. I just love the card. I think it's for me personally, it's been like the biggest thing of the year. Rest. I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah. The card is very good. Heads up play by you. I was just gonna say, I hope you did not plus it there.
Yes, I was pretty afraid of that, of the grace hitting the hoof, and because of the time too, I was like, I might not get there.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, I think I outpaced my opponent in this game because I started the match on 22 minutes because I was um, setting up the stream, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I got hit by the second fluster here. This almost tilted me. Like I was like, my God, is he really
Like
bringing
I
in
said, I
actively
think Fluster is
flusters?
very good against us.
Yeah, but if we have a shepherd out, it's straight up cold, right? I don't know.
I mean, so is Force, though, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Doesn't mean you
totally.
board out Force.
No, but would you bring extra copies?
I would. I think Fluster's better than Force in this matchup.
Yeah, yeah, I agree on that because our power plays usually come after a long chain of spells,
Right.
so you're like secure to have like a big number on the
Hmm.
stack. So here I'm just making the lethal math. Will I be able to activate Hydra on the first match of the day? But at the end, it comes up that it's not relevant. I do activate it, but it doesn't connect, I guess.
I quit. I think I would have attacked there, by the way, on the previous turn
Yeah, by this time I was trying to kill my opponent
with Gris.
with Grist Ultimate, right?
Oh, okay, I see. You tunnel vision because I'm looking at the board. I'm like, I think you attack here.
Yeah, I was streaming, so I wanted some some sweet moves. So something to point out that I realized at some point is that if you minus Grist with exactly 5, it it adds 1 to the creature count because it's a creature when on the graveyard, right? So it actually deals 6 instead of 5. Of course, after the combat, it's gonna deal a lot more, but yeah.
Yeah, so I have a good friend of mine, David Centeno, on the stream, Viper Force. He's from my LGS. They like to tease me at my LGS about my, playing elves on Moto and whatnot, because they know in the store I usually play other decks or whatnot. Also, a dirty player like David is upset with Allosaurus Shepherd, right? Because he's a Chalice player.
I can see that. So right, so I wanted to show this game because I win just on the clock, and I think I come back from a more or
Yeah,
less unfair. I wouldn't think that you'd say I would win 10 minutes ago, for example.
it was close back and forth. I think the big thing also is keep in mind like we won with Grist, but if you had attacked the previous turn, we didn't even need to.
Yeah, right.
Right. So just something to keep in mind.
But Grist is for control players. Grist is a everything magnet, right? They try their best to keep off it. Well,
All right. So I think the next match we said we would talk about is round five, right?
yeah, yeah, the yeah, you're gonna love this build. So this is against Kihara Works. I think he's a good player.
Uh
At least
huh.
the times I've played against him, he played really good. And I saw him, I believe, on Anzid's Anurag's. Sorry, this tournament he made with Ragaban tournament.
Uh huh.
I think he performed too there.
Well, this hand looks amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Small nitpick. In general, it's correct to lead with Windswept. Also, I would play fetch there, by the way. I mean, a basic.
Basic, right? Yeah.
Uh,
So it's me. It's the tunnel. Is the Gris tunnel vision again? I guess.
and the reason, right? You have the extra fetch. You can do it anyways.
Mm, true. So there's no reason to expose. Oh, actually, this I have a question. Could you pause, please, for a second?
Sure.
So yeah, okay. So in a situation when you want to ramp, and you know you are exposed because you're ramping to Dryad, you are exposing yourselves to Wasteland, right?
Right.
So sometimes I've thought to myself that okay, so maybe it's worth since on the green black build we run double Bayou,
Yeah.
it is worth exposing the Bayou so it might make your opponent doubt into so they have to choose a target, right? Because if you fetch for forest,
Hmm.
if they have a wasteland line, they will go 100% for the Dryad. While if you fetch for Bayou, then they have to take a decision.
Good question. I think the information is not worth the security because if they do something like gut shot into Wasteland or force into Wasteland, because some players just, have that itch, right? They need to force something, otherwise they feel like you're getting too far ahead. Then you fall behind, right? As a result, so I do not think it's worth it. Also,
So yeah,
there is no deck right now that goes by you into Green Sun for zero. So that tells your opponent you're on elves anyways.
right, right.
Not to mention the foothills here. That was a small nitpick, But I would play Windswept because Windswept into basic into Arbor
Could
could leave
represent
her
green
on
white.
green white
Yeah.
depths, right?
All right. Thank you.
So yeah, a couple of reasons for that. Like if your opponent is heads up, they will figure out you're on elves anyways because of the Bayou. Like there's no start right now with Green Sun, um, into off of Bayou, if that makes sense. Besides elves, so that's fine. We're gonna end step Arbor.
I hope.
Yeah, so HC Fox is talking about the double Arbor configuration to beat like a Trinisphere or whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah, I keep two fetches, keep the cradle, sandbag the cradle, and go for the double fetch cradle.
Yeah, we have all kinds of
Hmm.
Hydras in this deck now, right?
Right.
Yeah, Gris is just unbelievable in this deck. Like I mentioned in my Discord, when Gris got spoiled, I thought it was already very good, and it lived up to everything I thought it was gonna be, and it's even better than I thought it was gonna be.
Elves is an amazing shell for Grist, no doubt.
Right, the -2 is pretty much free in this deck.
Right. So here I miss a point of damage by hitting with the insect, and I go for his bird because, well, I think if he wanted the mana so bad that he would green sun for the bird, I think it's worth the minus from the crest.
It's reasonable. I don't. Yeah, I think that's fine. I probably would personally plus because if they play like another relevant creature, then you want your Gris to be alive, right? On the
Yeah. So
minus.
the first plus 90% checks that your Grist is gonna survive after the minus.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, I probably would not have minus there, and maybe minus the next turn if anything.
Hmm.
Only because yeah, I want to be okay. They ending that.
Yeah. Uh, double fatty in hand is not good. And here I think it's just pass
Pass, right?
for pass for cradle. I think it's according to my notes.
You missed the attack there, but that's an attack I would miss a lot too, just by clicking through it
Hmm. Check.
with the Heritage Druid.
Yeah, so I think this one is not doesn't have a lot to it. I think it just EOT. So at this point, I'm a little bit surprised that they're running that. So I might be facing. So I might have missed identified my opponent's deck
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think Blue Zenith runs Knight of the Red Gully like usually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit like worried. But yeah, I guess all the other cards point to the Jorion's and the Blue Zenith deck, right? I mean, so here I think I just ramp for. I get the second Shepherd like because they have white open, so I get the second Shepherd as insurance to plow plus fluster, whatever. I don't know. I
Right,
was
right, right.
so
So
it's free to play around counter magic there, right?
one thing I want to point out here is you're gonna hardcast Hoof for 8.
Mm-hmm.
What I probably would have done was um, I probably would have not played the Green Sun off the Arbor because you can have an extra attacker. So what I mean by that
Exactly.
is
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
tap.
you saw the future, right? Because I something I didn't see at this point because I don't
Uh,
have my exile open is I missed my second arbor, right? It was exile at the beginning of the game,
right,
so
right, right.
I end up casting the hoof with an untapped forest and a tapped arbor, which is just bad.
Right.
But yeah, so that was a mistake because I
Even
didn't have the exile
even if you
expanded.
did have the arbor though, I still think I like the other line better because the other line gives you another attacker, right? Because otherwise
Yeah,
you potentially don't win if they have a swords of plowshares.
yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, here's a nice thing my opponent does.
Hmm.
So with the draw trigger on the stack, they choose the replacement effect to try and grow even bigger the knight. That was very cool, actually.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
That's very smart, I think. I love those small things. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't come to matter at the end. But it was like I was like, what?
I like how HC Fox brings everything back to Stifle Knot.
Yeah,
So we're ahead here, anyways. But yeah, just little things to clean up here and there.
yeah. It's always easier when someone points them at you,
Hmm.
or that, or you really put the effort to I don't know, come to the same replay like in 2 or 3 days when you're not fresh on the game and see what other decisions you could have made.
Right, right, right. You want fresh set of eyes instead of remembering what you remember today.
Exactly, because today probably I would done the same. If I played the same, if I had to take the same decisions a couple of hours later, I would probably made the same decisions.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was a misclick. I'm not bringing the trophies. Don't worry. So it's basically the same cuts as game one, I think. Yeah, it's the same.
I'd
But
be tempted.
you mentioned it
We
was
saw
wrong to
black from the
bring
other side, right?
we did so black, yeah. So
I'd be
you
tempted
mentioned
to bring
about
in the Dotsies, to be honest, in this
yeah,
matchup.
that was what was I want to point out that you mentioned bringing thoughts is better against the blue senate.
Hmm. Although endurance is one nice thing, you can play around the wasteland though. But I think engineer is more important. We can beat wasteland typically.
Yeah,
The only time we really lose a wasteland if it's either coupled with something like tabernacle, where it just locks up our mana, or like loam, right, where we just they do it every turn.
right. Plus, but usually these decks don't want to be low min like every turn.
Right, 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 exactly.
Just I think Anurag explained it. Like his idea behind it is like securing the land drops, right? You roam every 1 or 2 or 3 turns
Uh,
to keep the. So here I'm surprised that my opponent plays Cradle, and it will come to bite me again later. So yeah,
you've played in your deck.
yeah, yeah. Feels bad after boarding out the heritages, right? But we knew the hand was soft too.
Engineer, yeah.
Yeah, so I think here I concede just right away. I think I want to I don't want to lose the time. Well, not. I think this is a pretty hard lock given my hand and Progenitus. Natural for Progenitus is not live. I think I concede pretty fast.
Hmm.
Plus, they super lock me out, right?
Yeah, the Knight of the Reliquary is gonna hit your lands too.
Yeah. So it's I just conceded. Probably conceding or knowing when to concede for time purposes. I
Hmm.
think that's also a skill to develop.
So one thing I want to point out for Chad, since we have the list up right now, I mentioned this to Inigo, but he has yet to adopt the four Once Upon a Time. I do think the card is completely broken, so something for Chat and Inigo to reconsider in the future.
I'm still waiting on the numbers from Metalfish. I don't know about the fourth copy, so I'm not that away from you. But I usually need to convince myself on the card choices. I need to feel that it's the right decision,
uh,
and I think Crop has some ups to like Crop usually does what Once Upon a Time what we want from out Once Upon a Time, which is fetching the cradle.
mhm.
But I understand on a heavy tempo metagame, main the crop can be a liability. Yeah, I just love going free fall on the glimpse turns, knowing
Mhm.
that I can top deck my crop and having a ritual effect in the middle of the chain.
So I just modded HC Fox right now so that he can add the Hydra command. I know he's looking to do that, so there you go. HC Fox, that's for you. Anybody who's been to my stream a few times knows. I've tempered it down a little bit. Okay, let me pause this in case we don't get too far ahead. Uh, I've tempered it down a little bit lately, but I tend to give out mod access like Handy or like Oprah.
Yeah, we're gonna reach some point where all your chat's gonna be mod.
Okay, I want to point out something. We led with Wirewood turn one, right?
Yeah,
I would have played the Reclaimer here, by the way.
but
You
did we
can
have
bounce it
it
if you
turn
want to
one?
glimpse next turn. It doesn't.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
sometimes like it feels bad to. I know, I know. I was setting up. So in what was in my mind at this point was glimpse chain.
Uh
I
huh.
wanted to try to draw at least two cards of the glimpse and the bounce,
Uh huh.
which it came up to be at the end.
No, no. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. You have the Wirewood, so you can end step bounce the Reclaimer anyways.
Oh, I see it now.
Okay, so this is
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
comes up actually a lot where
Well,
I
I
play a
didn't see
creature,
that at
but
all. I didn't see that at all. Well, you're
yeah,
right.
this is something that comes up a lot where I'll play a Wirewood and play a creature just to like pressure the board, but my intent is to bounce anyways. But then I don't want to reveal that I'm gonna glimpse the following turn because not playing something with green mana up either tells your opponent your hand is kind of bad or you're planning a glimpse. So by having the Wirewood out, I would play the Reclaimer and then end step bounce. You can still do what you want to do.
Yeah. Plus, you are concealing the glimpse information.
Right, which
Right.
is actually huge. Right, they kind of knew that you're gonna glimpse right based on that.
There, I think I considered to endurance, but yeah, I ended up not doing it.
Um, I probably wouldn't have either. Hey, our boy Jonathan Zhang is in Twitch chat right now. I gotta remind everybody that with him here, and this is very serious business, that Force of Negation is an unfair card and needs to be retroactively removed from the pool of cards available to both modern and legacy, right? Especially modern. You can't. There's a. Oops, I can't click on it, but you can't activate it for zero. HC Foss is one of the text on the card. Let me put it here. Oops.
So yeah, here comes the. Here it comes.
Yeah, so we cannot kill Bridge from below, sadly, with it. Yeah, I also mentioned in my Discord, if Jonathan's still there, that Jonathan is the one that introduced me to the phrase "pregnant pause," and then the context was okay. That's pretty good, I think, so far. The context was every time I reclaimer for the old Beseju, right? Not the new one coming out. Um, there would be a big pregnant pause from an opponent with impending doom. We should add that to the mod as one of the commands as well.
So yeah, I got myself destroyed here. So Progenitor is still live, so I don't concede, but yeah.
This is game two, no three, right?
Yeah, that's game 3. So we took wait. We took game 1. You actually saw the lost second game,
Uh huh.
and
Yeah, I
we're
think here
watching
we
now
had the
game.
slam mash order, right?
Yeah, so we talked about it. So this is the point when I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about that. So I kind of know it's gonna resolve because opponent has one card in hand, and so I think I I'm thinking, how do I win the game from here, right? So I need to secure two Progenitus attacks, but if I slam Progenitus here,
Hmm.
I will have only one creature on board, hence no blockers. Maybe
They're
the
not
plus
gonna
one from
attack
the
into a
wrist.
progenitus with. I mean, they could. They're gonna lose everything though.
Right. So what I try to do is ambush something with my endurance,
Uh huh.
plus so making somewhat of a board presence,
Hmm.
so I can attack with the Progenitus while keeping my defenses up. That's my line of thinking, I guess.
Yeah, I think I mean we already discussed this offline, but yeah, I think definitely that was the game costing mistake. You definitely slam the progenitors here. You don't really have time, right? They're kind of ahead on board, and the progenitor stabilizes for a turn. Not to mention they're on 2 turn clock, right?
Hmm. So probably I lost it on that turn,
Right.
right?
That's actually what lost the game. Jonathan mentioned it as well. So, but yeah, I think uh, at the end of the day, I know I joke a lot of times. This is like green black rock, but at the end of the day, we still have our one card combo, and if the shields are down, you just slam it, right?
Okay.
I think the exception to that rule, perhaps, and it really depends. It's like very situational. The exception to that rule is if there's something like pox, and they play like the edict effect, and you don't have anything else. But I mean,
All
it's like
right.
very fringe.
I guess I was worried about them
Having no
outracing me
follow.
with the engineers and knight.
They're not going to be able to, right? Because the first turn you have a blocker, right? So your Hydra, the big Hydra, is going to block the knight, and then it hits you for 5, you go to 12, and then you hit them for 10, then you play two more dudes, and then you probably win from there. But unless you've been
Hmm.
in this situation before and I can see how the math like you can be a little bit unsure, right?
Yeah, I do recall. I talked to you that they lost the game with a Caldra, and you told me, Progenitors can block, right? And I told you, no, I don't. So yeah, spoiler, chat. Progenitors is a pretty good blocker.
Okay, again, same thing, right? Okay, you could have done it. Okay, you already did it there. So a turn late. Um,
Yeah, cost me the game probably.
I'm guessing they Earl then, right?
I think they blink, so they go get Caracas. Oh yeah, Uro. All right. So, but the real
Okay,
winning,
yeah.
wait, but the real spice comes. So you will see, you will see.
I think it's
Like,
any. I think the progenitus with dress down situation. It's happened to me like I think exactly once because the way I play, I'm threatening a glimpse or natural order every turn, so they cannot really afford to hold swords to plowshares in hand, trying to do that stuff to me.
so look at that board. That's. I want to cry.
It's okay. Sometimes the best way to learn is you have a rough break, right? And unfortunately, it's what happened today. But the good thing is,
But as I told you, I'm happy with my plays because I took the decisions willingly.
uh
So it's not that I didn't consider not natural ordering. Yeah, I did it so because for a reason. Right now, I know it's not the good reason,
hmm.
but yeah. So you see here, you can see we have a minuscule 99 progenitus. That's what really cost me the game, right? They are naming Hydra with one of their engineers, and here they do their super all-star play, or no, it's the next turn. You're gonna see.
All right. So, like I said, right? Like, even though they have 3 plague engineers here on the side, we still beat this, right? Normally, assuming you made the progenitus play earlier.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
The other reason why I like bringing in Thoughtseize against these type of decks is any player playing black at the moment right now likes to just jam 3 to 4 plague engineers in their sideboard. So, um, I think the damage is done once a plague engineer hits the board. So ideally, you just Thoughtseize them before that happens, right?
And so here I think they make a mistake because they attack with the engineer naming Hydra.
Uh huh.
So I thought I had my small window of luck. Spoiler not. So I'm like, okay, where's the trick? Because I didn't see the trick, right?
Right, for the Caracas, you mean?
Hmm. So they say, okay, get a flip block. So I'm doing the dead man's math here, right? Like, okay, Jorion hits for 4, I'm at 5, I can survive. So look at this cute play. Like prompts to my opponent for that. I love when I lose to these things. I can't be mad.
Speaking of cute plays, I posted yesterday on Twitter how I want a match. Well, I guess I didn't put how the actual match itself. Hey, how's it going, Fev? But I won a match yesterday with playing only 2 turns of Magic. Uh, I'll bring that up here since I figure we're talking about some cute interactions going on. All right, where
Hey,
is
hi
it?
Fib.
All right, here we go. So this match is more or less, I think it's over already, right? I'm
Yeah,
gonna attack here. All right,
yeah. So they basically named Hydra, and they are at 10. So I die with opportunities on board, which is a 9/9.
so this happened yesterday. I won game 2 despite not doing anything because our opponent gambled for the LED and binned the LEV. So and I won game 1 here off. Sorry, we're playing only 2 turns of Magic because I had a turn 2 Archon after seeing what they were on. Uh, they relayed turn 1, relayed turn 2, and unfortunately I had the turn 2 natural order. So one of my faster kills ever. Thank you for the follow, Carino. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anytime I mispronounce your username, please feel free to. I won't be offended to correct me. Yeah, Slippery Boggles is an archetype that will drive some people crazy. I'll put it that way.
Right. So that's it for the match. I was a little sad because I almost felt the grasp of it. I because of I had the
I
Progenitors in
think that
plane.
match was definitely winnable, Inigo. Even with your, I personally like thought C's better, but I think endurance is reasonable enough. But I think, like I said, if you slam the natural order 1 turn earlier, you probably win that match easily.
Hmm. All right.
But you live and learn, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why we're here, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, fast forward to the next match.
Which is this on these ones my play starts to go down a little bit.
It's okay. Well, that's why we're here. We're gonna review it, right?
So this is 8 cast, I believe. Yeah, so you're not gonna enjoy this. Definitely.
All right, so I would keep this hand. It's like reasonable enough, right? Unless I know what my opponent is like on, and we should be favored in the 8 cast matchup.
Right. So when I got my opponent here, I was like really happy. When I saw the seed of the synod, I was like, all right, so I got a chance, right?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, of the major legacy decks in the of the legacy decks in the metagame, this is probably the best matchup for elves at the moment.
Yeah.
And just take a
I
wild
can
guess.
say that my data. I'm not the best elves player, but my data backs that uh,
Ooh,
affirmation.
I would lead with the heritage here, by the way.
Oh, I led with the symbiote because duplicates.
Um, the reason being is twofold, right? One, they don't have removal game, one presumably, and
Mm-hmm.
two, if you draw a Birch Lord, you get punished.
Right. Plus, we are 1 turn behind assembling 3 elves.
Correct. So
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
like this is typically a very weak start out of Elves, right? Waterwood Symbiote.
Agreed.
What was I gonna say?
Chalice. Oh,
I forgot.
so they start to do
Oh
their
yeah, best
thing
matchups
here.
for elves. Yeah, I think of the major popular archetypes, this is probably the best matchup for elves. It's also conveniently good against a lot of stuff you don't really want to see.
Yeah,
Some of the spell based combo decks that you are otherwise hard to hate out. Elves can hate out graveyard combo, but not so much spell based.
I think even Reanimator is a top contender for it percentage wise. Reanimator and 8cast are both very good matchups nowadays.
Reanimator with our sideboard, is pretty good. You can still lose because sometimes you don't draw well post board because you're gonna lose game one to Reanimator. If your Reanimator player is like
Decent.
even half the player that like Jonathan Zhang is. I don't know if Jonathan's still listening, but he is a Blessed Gristlebrand player. But if your opponent is even half competent, they should be able to beat you game one. The best elf matchup, though, I think, is if it's not 8 cast, there is one other one that I think is in consideration, but this archetype is not that popular. Uh, you want to take a guess what it is? There is one matchup
Mm,
I found that's very good for elves, but it's not played that often.
hmm.
Anybody
I,
want to
I would
guess,
say
Ken?
one, but I think you would hardly disagree. For me personally, um, High Tide.
Okay, I found actually high tide can be pretty hard personally because of dress down post board. But the answer to me, in my opinion, of course, all anecdotal, but I think anybody who's played this matchup will know. I think Enchantress is almost unlosable.
Right, right. We have answers for their place game one in Archon. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Archon means their deck just stops working, right?
Yeah,
Like they
exactly.
can't really stop it.
All the removal is enchantment based. So yeah.
Right, right. Not to mention they're slower than us. It's just like if it's favorable in almost every way.
Plus, acute interaction is
That's true.
or
H3
or
plus.
something that feels good is trophying their snowland to get back all your permanents encaged by on thin ice. That's really nice.
Wait, say that again.
So when they play their enchantment removal that is on thin ice, if you remove their if you trophy their land,
Uh
you
huh.
get all the stuff back on your board. So
Uh
that's a nice play to make against enchanters too.
huh. So apparently,
Feels good.
Ethan has a pretty cool tweet with regards to Enchantress. Like the matchup is very lopsided. So yeah, I think here game one we got to do their thing, and they don't have a fast clock, and they can't really stop what we're doing, right? Like
Yeah, exactly. So this game, if they
you
would
can
have
play spells at
sagas,
random, and a lot of times still beat them.
yeah. But I must say that we top decked the Shepherd, so it was really because they had us on a pretty nice lock with the Chalice. So,
I
but
mean, don't
that's
get
why
me
we
wrong.
play four.
Sometimes it's close, right? But
Hmm.
there's just so
Yeah.
many live outs.
Yeah. There's a reason for that 30%, right?
So you said in your data that you watch yourself personally, you're what 70-30.
Yeah, actually 73%, so it's pretty high.
Okay, I don't know what it is for me. Anecdotally speaking, I don't think I have lost this deck since maybe the first week it was out. Just because I thought it was the other version and I boarded incorrectly. But I
Hmm.
think ever since this deck became a known thing, and I need like for instance, Thoughtcast meeting that they're not playing, like Echo of Aeons and and LEDs. I don't think I've lost to this deck.
Yeah, I think most of my losses are for the Eiko version or the Urtha version. I think
Yeah.
personally too. I think those are better than the stock 8cast one list.
They're better against us. I don't know if they're better overall because they're more susceptible to Delver. Like this version is
Mhm.
very good against Delver and combo.
Oh my god! Pause the stream for a second, please. Check what Ethan sent on the Discord.
Okay, one second. I'll bring it up actually now that I have it
Yeah, yeah,
for
dude,
everybody.
dude. You're gonna love it. Opponent conceding on the sideboard stage.
Yeah, like I said, this matchup is not very good for Enchantress because, again, um, their deck is slower than us. They can't stop what we're doing at all. And we have a card that essentially says your deck stops working.
Yeah,
And
right.
we have, I guess, with excluding hardcasting it, we have 7 ways to find it.
Yeah.
All
Props to Ethan for
right.
for showcasing the red splash. So I think game one, we didn't see anything weird, but here we have a rough start, right?
All right. The first thing is I know we typically want to save the Green Sun Zenith for Collective. I actually personally like to ramp there because it's not going to be online for a few turns. In this case, it wouldn't have mattered because they had Dismember.
Hmm. So I'm a little bit confused by this play because usually Dismember is the key card to escape their lock, right? Because if we resolve a collective, that effectively locks their deck. So I'm starting to smell something weird here because they are paying that much respect to Reclaimer. We're gonna say.
Sorry, say that again.
So they dismembered a Reclaimer when they could save it for the oof that is gonna come, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
I'm already a little bit like, what's happening here, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if I was the 8 cast player and I had a dismember, I would definitely sandbag it for the oof.
Mm-hmm.
So something's
But yeah,
bad about to happen
but in general, I would probably fire out the Green Sun there for what it's worth.
for the ramp, you mean, right?
For the ramp, yeah. Because the
Hmm.
oof is not coming down for a few turns anyways.
Yeah, right. So we had to make 3 natural land drops, which is a lot of time. So what I'm thinking here,
Oh, what is go? Okay, I would have slammed the Green Sun for 2, right?
yeah. So that I remember that pause. What I was thinking there was okay. So they don't have any pressure at all. So I opted to go like they don't even have an Emery to record the bubbles, right? So I said, all right. So
No, you have to
let's
fire it off because of a couple of things, right? They may draw into force is another one.
yeah, okay. So that could be a mistake, but look at what was coming anyways. So this really surprised me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm saying goodbye to my elves right now.
I would probably actually bounce the Visionary to be honest.
Well,
And the
my
logic for
reasoning,
that is because you need to eventually draw into a win condition because the hoof is in your hand. Not to mention, even if it wasn't, you want to draw natural at some point, right? Even if it
all
cycles,
right.
that's fine.
My thinking there was I can morph Birch Lord too, so it can be played, right? But yeah, probably
Yeah,
you're
but the
right.
Morph Birch Lore is not going to be the difference in this game, right?
I agree. I agree. So probably I underestimate the the drawing, like the cycling, right?
Yeah, and see,
So
that's
yeah,
what I mean, right? Like, you want to do it earlier because in case they draw force, maybe they had it anyway,
mm,
so it doesn't matter. But
yeah, you're increasing your odds to not resolving your grandson.
yeah, so HC Fox pointed out, so it's like Oof is so good in this kind of matchup. You have to make them have it. Like, and if they don't have it, they're just so far behind, right?
Right, right.
Not to mention they wouldn't have been able to cast the Plague Engineer. But like I said, sometimes like to
No,
learn.
no, no, no. But the plague engineer came 1 turn before, right? Oh no, no. We developed the board. It's true. It's true. So we
Right?
had the chance.
They may not have even been able to cast the Plague Engineer. Maybe they have the
Right.
Force anyways, and it doesn't matter. But like it, what it does is it hedges against top decks.
All right, all right. So yeah, that cost me the game.
That's game two, right?
This is game two yet, yeah. So
Okay, so I'm
more
curious how
hate
game
still to
three happened
m- more hate still to come.
then.
So so far we only saw so their tech was engineer, right?
Yeah,
So far they didn't. All we saw was engineer plus dismember, which I think dismember is stock.
I think this player that your opponent has lost to me and York a bunch, so I'm not, I guess, super surprised that they're playing Plague Engineer, right? Like because Elves is a known really bad matchup for 8 cast.
Yeah,
I don't say this often, but like D&T used to be the worst or the best matchup for Elves, and I think it's a little bit more even. I still think we're favored because we're favored post board because of Progenitus, but they can definitely steal game one. So if you flounder either of the post board game, and then they get lucky game one, or you have a hand that lines up poorly against Spear of the Labyrinth, then definitely can lose. But I would not be surprised if like I don't lose to 8 casts in like over a year or something, like a year from now. It's that
I
favorable.
definitely would play versus 8 cast and versus that taxes.
I think I forget which year it was. It might have been 2020. I went an entire calendar year, not too many years ago, without having a loss like a match to DNT. That's how favorable that matchup used to be. But things
Yeah.
have changed dramatically, right? Because Spirit of the
No,
Labyrinth and
no, no
whatnot.
more, right? No more.
I mean, it's still good, I think, and I think it's probably, in my opinion, the third best matchup for elves behind. I'm excluding Enchantress for a second just because it's not popular, but behind 8 cast, and I think the second best matchup for elves is Blue Zenith. So
Hmm.
so two and three best matchups are Yorion decks essentially.
Conveniently, we lose on stream today to Blue Senate.
And to 8 cast. So I think you got to show up your good matchups, Runkor.
It's okay. I mean, you need to learn this little. So when I was playing it, I didn't seem it didn't seem to me that important
Mm-hmm.
to lock them out of the colored mana.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, after you see the engineer, the whites plus for prismatic ending, which we missed, so then of course makes a lot of sense to close on the mocks ASAP, right?
Well, it's not even that, right? Even if they don't have it, they could have something like Echoing Truth, which is not unreasonable, or the Resculpt. Or I forget. I think that's called the. So I've seen some players use that as an out to Archon. Let's see if it's correct. Yeah, that's the card I'm thinking of.
All right. Swapping my win condition for a 4/4 vanilla doesn't seem right. So here they basically have a very
I
Nazi
think it was this
opener.
opponent actually that did that to me too. They still lost, but like, I had to sweat it out a little bit.
I could go through my data and check who was on the breed on the red splash.
Uh,
But we are
we
living the
Romano
Patriot
are going
dream.
through his legacy challenge. Unfortunately, he ended up at, well, I guess he already posted results, but he ended up at 3-4. But we're reviewing the losses mostly.
Yeah, for
Let's see.
science.
What did we just see right now?
Uh, this
What?
member on Reclaimer.
Oh, why didn't you fetch Cradle?
I think they did on response. I mean, oh, because Mika. I don't know.
Let me
Can
see.
you go back
I'll
a little bit?
rewind it.
Yeah.
Oh, here they did it in response. Okay.
Yeah. So they know their way. They know the Reclaimer way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They don't want you to. Okay, so I think that's more reasonable. At first, I was wondering why you were fetching two Bayou, but yeah, that's fine.
But I used to I made some that mistake at the beginning of the reclaimer cradle lines
Yeah.
adoption.
If they don't, because then what happens is if they don't play removal, you get a basic, and then you just pass turn, and then you fetch then rotate the basic for the cradle later on.
All right. So I learned that the hard way, right?
You gotta learn it some way. Usually it's the hard way. Yeah, because then for me at least, most of my learning experiences is because I messed up right initially.
Yeah. But definitely this like commenting with someone else, or for example when we did the co-stream with Ethan here on the stream, having like another voice
Mm.
following your line of thoughts, it really helps, like at least to considering the the weaker outcomes of the lines.
So a question I got asked is the new Boseiju. It's a card that's definitely gonna go in lands. How many copies in decks like Elves that can't really tutor for it? At least for the channel effect. Um, is unknown to me at the moment. Initially, I wasn't too high on the card because I can't reclaimer for it, and as anybody who knows, I value a strong mana base. So it has to take a lot for me to put a utility land in. So Lair the Hydra, I felt like got over the minimum threshold for that. Um, I think this could be a scenario where it takes some time to figure out how to incorporate and how if we want to adjust the mana base or play it like in the sideboard. I could see
How do you
both.
feel about? Sorry. How do you
Go
feel
ahead.
about trophying cider? So my read was okay. So the only threat right now is putting more and more thopters. So I gave them one turn. I'd see that they still had gas in their hand.
Hmm.
So I went for the trophy on Sai. How do you feel about that?
Let me rewind. Did they tap out with Sai or no?
No, I don't think so.
Let's see.
So from here, their only threat are the thopters, at least on this board state, right?
Uh huh.
So
And Sai, what? Let me look at the. I don't remember what Sai does. Like,
so they actually draw a card. They activate Sai's ability, sacking artifacts to draw a card. So I say, okay, whoa, I don't want that happening anymore. Plus, this is the only clock. I trophy it in
I think that's
response.
probably fine. I don't. I think yeah. I don't think that's bad.
So here we go.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very
he's
painful
definitely
for me to see such a greedy mana base get rewarded. Only because
yeah,
I'm on the opposite side, right? I'm like so conservative with my mana base. 'Cause I don't want to lose to mana screw essentially.
yeah. I mean, they don't even respect the mana because they're not even playing black, right, on their mana base. They just trust from the moxes and
Yeah,
petals.
I think more often than not, it's not gonna work.
Right. So even if I finished 3-4, I think my play was okay plus. So I had a blast playing too.
Hmm.
So I'm happy with it.
I think the problem is I think your play was mostly fine from a macro standpoint. The problem was, that can be the case with this kind of deck is the mistakes that you did have were kind of big and ended up being game losing. Namely, the not getting the progenitus, and then in the previous game not getting the collector oof, right?
Yeah, when I have the window, right?
Right. So like essentially, at the end of the day, I know, like I said, this is kind of a mid-range build of the deck, but you still have your eye wins, right? In like your Green Sun for Collector Oof or your Natural Order for Genitus. So if the window is there, you just take it most of the time. Like you still have to be able aggressive in that situation.
Right. So check this out. Oh my god, that was so bad. So
So
I had
Dismember is pretty common out of these kind of decks, though, for
yeah,
the most
right.
part.
But look, check the graveyard, right? So he had like what, like double dismember, a plague engineer. What is this? so so much hate.
Well, the dismember is not really that much hate, right? Like we can live with the dismember. Oh, I would sequence it differently, by the way.
Oh, what first Visio first,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So as you said before, right? But draw the cards first, but take the best decisions
Because the thing
after.
is, they may not. I'll pause it for a second. They may not
Yeah.
force the visionary if they don't see the wirewood's out. But then they will force the wirewood potentially. But then you're
Right.
okay because you draw the card already.
So I'm losing the card of Visio. Right. Right.
Exactly.
So when
So
they see the
that
BFF, they usually go force. Yeah, that's true.
yeah. So unfortunately, I predicted the future there. I said, oh, I would not do it that way, and then the worst case scenario happened, right?
Yeah. 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 We had a lot of those today, but again, we're showing them all the losses, so it's the best learning experience, I guess.
I definitely agree. Like my personal experience is from my wins, I tend to not learn anything, right?
Right.
I learn the most from my losses, or sometimes in the best case scenario, you get lucky. You make a mistake, and then it feels bad, but you end up pulling it out anyways. Those are probably the ones that are the best case scenario, right? Because you learn something, but you still get the win, right?
Win-win.
You're right. It's literally win-win in in that situation.
I mean, not gonna lie, right?
The
Hitting run of
worst
foul.
scenario is the opposite, right? You lose and you don't learn anything.
Exactly right. So if, for example, if we were featuring the wins only,
Uh,
that would be anti-learning experience.
right,
Experience.
right, right. This is the learning stream. I'm all for education, right?
Hmm.
An example of a lose-lose situation would be like, okay, Let's just say you're playing against Oops All Spells. They kill you game one, and then game two they play Leyline and Sanctity and kill you turn one again, and you're holding endurance in your hand. That's like a lose-lose situation, in my opinion.
You're right. So here I was pretty bummed about
Mm-hmm.
the losing to 8 cast. Not, I mean, so that small window with that mistake
Mm-hmm.
cost me the game. But for example, previous game, I don't think there was any super big mistakes done. But still, right? You have to. As I said, there's the 30% is there for a reason.
Um, I think it depends on your definition of big mistake, because I think like both the losses that you had here should have been won, and what I think there's two ways to look at the big mistake, right? One is like you just make something that you definitely should not have. I don't think you did that, right? Like the mistakes you made, at least you have reasoning behind it, and from that perspective, it's not an egregious mistake. Um, so I guess there's a difference, right? There's an egregious mistake, which I don't think you made, but there is a big mistake in the sense that it's game losing. So I think not playing the natural order and the green sun for collector move on the turn that you could have were game losing mistakes, but they weren't egregious mistakes. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Right, right.
Like,
So
I don't think I think
like
it.
my
Go ahead.
like micro strategy level wise, they were not big, but macro, like if you see the whole game, well, it cost you the game, so they were big one in that regard.
Yes, yes, exactly. Like I don't think it's like something like on board and you just didn't see the trick, for instance. Like that would be like an egregious mistake. Or something like keeping a no land hand. That's like an egregious mistake. I don't think you made any of those. But it just so happened the mistakes you made were game losing mistakes because they directly impacted how the game played out, right?
Yeah, agree, agree. The good thing about that is, for example, I will never lead with Arbor turn one against Delver ever in my life again.
Right, that's like an egregious mistake, right? Like, I don't
Right.
think that's something you should know immediately. Whereas, you know, the weird board state that happened in round five, I think, right? I like that one. You kind of have to see before, and if you haven't been in that situation, I can see, coming to the wrong conclusion, for instance.
Hmm.
Yeah, so unfortunately, HT Fox mentioned this too, right? One of the things about Ellis too is you don't want to lose early because you get stuck in the combo matchups sometimes too, like in the mediocre bracket. Whereas like a lot of the top decks, if you are start like 5-4-1, 5-1 maybe, you'll play against more other decks that you gear your sideboard towards.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to run into something you're not prepared for. For example, it happened to me round two where I played Helm Mill combo. I
Right, right,
only
right.
had
That's just
the
unfortunate because you won your first game too, your first match.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But as I said, if it is what it is, right? So you shouldn't be tilted or sad about the losses where you can't do anything about.
Right, right, right.
Right. So I have a guess for you. Uh, I might have told you already, but I want you to tell me what deck I'm playing now. I mean, my opponent's deck, right? So I want you to identify it on real time because because you're gonna fail.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what they're on off the top of my head. I've played against this opponent a few times. I usually they're on like some kind of bug control deck.
Right. Against me, they usually play like blue, like mentor decks with blue white
Hmm.
control ish strategies.
So this one is like barely keepable, I think.
Yeah, it's borderline, right?
I would probably still lead with a reclaimer though, but
Yeah, I think I
and just
value
hope they don't have
too
removal
much.
turn one.
Hmm.
Yeah, it depends, but you just hope they don't
Yeah,
have
the
removal.
the thing is, because I know, sorry, because I've played this opponent before, I know they usually play blue white.
Hmm.
Uh, so I guess game they have it the turn one sorts. So here I'm super like okay. So force pitching iteration, forcing a druid must be the worst of the plays. Like I'm at this point, I don't know what I'm playing against. What would you guess of
Well,
Saga Lantern
some kind of
iteration force?
saga like blue red thing, right?
It's super weird, right?
I wouldn't guess painter, but I could be wrong.
You'll see.
Oh, I guess it is painter.
It's actually not, but I think they have like a package, like a painter package. I don't know. It's super
Oh,
random.
they might be on the old the. It's like the saga list with painter kill, but it essentially still plays four iteration, and I think this is like Bob Huang. I think played this like and mental misstep.
No idea. Like I can tell I definitely didn't recognize it.
The good thing is we would have lost anyways. Like we're not beating that hand.
Right. So at this point, my read is all right. Weird painter. That's my read.
Uh huh.
So I sideboard think having painter in my mind.
Uh huh.
Like cut the crop. I want some
Actually,
speed too
endurance is not that good against painter unless they're on the goblin version. By the way.
on the Wilder, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I would not
But it's
actually board in.
the full four.
I would not board in any endurances actually.
So you would board out the one.
Yeah, because they don't use the graveyard. And using it to buy a turn is not worth it in my opinion. Like it's fringe.
Okay, that's fair. I didn't
But
I
but
thought
the other
otherwise.
thing is that you haven't really run into this deck before. So like in general, unless they're on the goblin version, like if they're on the mono blue version, for instance, right, endurance doesn't do anything. In my opinion, like it buys a turn, but like unless you have to kill exactly the next turn, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, so you pitch you pay with endurance and a green card for an extra turn, basically.
Think you can think of it this way: it's two cards to fog, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not worth it,
It's not
definitely.
worth it, right?
Yeah, it's true, it's true.
Yeah, this
But
is the
it, I,
Ragavan version. So HC Fox is hit on the nail, right? I don't know what the name of the deck is called, but like it's blue red, essentially Saga or Raga Painter, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah, but ATFOC is super hater of the non-tier one decks.
that's not true. HC Fox is a big fan of elves. Well, actually, that's not true. I guess that's not entirely true too, right? Because maybe in HC Fox's mind, elves is tier zero, right? It's not tier one.
No, but what I mean is when he's on my stream and we play like a random deck, like well, random, like tier, I would say 1.5, like a blade deck or something like that, something like that's not super top contender.
Uh
He always types something like, "Okay, that's what you get for not playing the good cards or something like that.
Oh, I'm gonna stop you here. I
Right.
was afraid you were gonna do this. What I would do here was I would lead with Symbiote, see if they daze it. I don't think they play daze in this version, but I could be wrong.
Right. But at this
And
point, I'm super confused because after what we saw game one, they present a Delver board. So I'm like, all right, what's happening?
well, here again, right? You don't want to run Visionary into daze if you still think they're on daze. So what I would do is I would play the Symbiote and then play the Cradle into Visionary because that way you're accelerating on land on
Okay,
mana.
can you repeat, please?
Okay, so what I would do here is I would play the Symbiote, see if they react. If they don't, then you've actually netted a mana for turn because you're gonna want to do the Visionary anyways, and then you play the Cradle and play the Visionary out. So you've actually net a mana. If you do it the other way, you're down a mana, right? If they force the Visionary, and then if they
Right. But the land drop was already made.
no, I'm saying so you don't make the land drop first. This is actually counterintuitive, right? You don't play a land drop. You run the symbiote into daze. If they don't daze, you play the cradle, and then you know the visionary is safe around daze. If they force or daze, then you play the
Oh, so you use the symbiote and the no land drop as a days test.
correct. Yes, exactly. Not to
Interesting.
mention, you don't want them to bolt the ranger because if you play the cradle, you don't want them to bolt the ranger too because that tells them that you're gonna have two mana. It does the two
Yeah.
things for you at the same time.
So you need to. So that topic you brought up offline earlier about the days tutorial, that's gonna be a blast.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I talked to Inigo before our stream today, and somewhere down the road, I'm gonna write an article on Patreon on essentially how to play into and around days. Like days is one of the cards that I don't really care. Like I don't mind it. Like especially being an elf player, all your cards are one drops anyways, right? Like you're not like the person playing the 5 or 6 drop deck trying to resolve through a daze. So for me at least, I think elves is one of the better anti-daze decks. And this is
Yeah,
without even
because all our
Shepherd, right?
cards are 1 mana. We can play. Right. But so here I'm super surprised that or surprised. So they are forcing my stuff super aggressively, right? Like remember the turn one druid that was super awkward. Who
That's
forced the
actually
druid
really
to turn
bad in my
one?
opinion from our opponent.
Yeah, but I know for a fact that this player is not bad because I mean, and he usually plays blue decks, so this must be a reason. When I try to think about it, I think like okay, so he should be like trying to get hit, trying to get to a certain graveyard card amount or whatnot. So I was really this game was really confusing for me, especially
I
games
think
two and three.
aggressive forcing can be correct, but I highly doubt aggressive forcing on a heritage druid is correct.
All
Like
right.
that to me does not seem correct.
So here I think I managed. Let me check my spreadsheet, but I think this game is won. Right.
Right. If you won this game, I wouldn't be surprised, right? Because they forced the irrelevant thing that doesn't even make mana by itself, only to lose to a natural order later, right?
Right, but here I'm thinking my opponent is like cheating on me because all the cards he's showing are Blue Delver cards, and we actually died game one to Painter activation. So it was like, what the hell's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really I was by now I was thinking about if I made a mistake on boarding or it was actually a lucky boarding, right? Because it ended up being Delver, and I brought in the full playset of endurances, so it was okay. I was happy about it. So yeah, Archon, I guess. Yeah, I try. These little things I'm improving. I'm trying to improve, right? Like don't miss
Attack,
those
you mean?
small. Yeah. So There's just details, right? But well, you have to improve somewhere, right?
Thank you
So
for the
here I'm
follow.
debating because I saw the painter kill. I'm debating on instant or artifact actually.
I'm gonna go ahead and post all my relevant links again for those who are new to the stream or want more info.
Oh, actually, I was thinking about that.
Thank you for the follow, White Knight.
Would you like to have a command so you don't have to type all the 4 commands, sub commands?
Oh yeah, yeah, that's actually pretty helpful. I can just type like social media or something, and then
Yeah, okay,
all of
I'll
them
do that
like come
later.
up at the same time.
I'll do
That's
that
probably
when
better.
we're done. Yeah, yeah, I'll do that later. So yeah, here I was thinking, okay, maybe I want some more and Delver cards because I saw them. It's not Scry. What's the DRC? Surveilling down multiple Murktides game two,
Hmm.
right? So I'm paying the respect to Murktide there by bringing back a Grest, and I think I cut. And I think I ended up cutting an Endurance. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, so I bring in 2 Ranafouls, not the full 3,
Uh
out of fear of Murktide.
huh. I think in this case, since you saw Murktide, endurance is like not bad. I personally would not bother with it and just like try to kill them with natural order. Like they're a combo deck. You saw Painter.
Yeah. Right. The problem is I don't know what. So I have trouble identifying their deck and identifying what portion of their deck is the main portion
You definitely need a Green Sun for zeroing
for
it.
Arbor.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I was considering that too. Plus, we had double Arbor, so we could have turn 2 Oof on if needed.
Yeah. I mean, they forced it anyways, so it didn't matter, but still.
Yeah, but they're against forcing super aggressively. It's like so you drum there definitely. And here I think I go get either a
Here
Reclaimer
I
or
would
a
not arbor,
Skybird.
but the previous turn I would have.
No, it's not an Arbor. This one,
Right.
it's for 1,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter anyways. So I think today I got caught more than in the past month. Today by Flusterstorm. That's a card I didn't see in some time.
I think Flusterstorm probably gets a little bit better in the new metagame too, right?
Right, with less mana to pay. Yeah, right.
Well, less mana to pay out of the Delver decks, and also Fluster is good against the Days and Doing decks.
Right, right.
I think here you gotta
Uh,
slam Endurance.
it's either Endurance or Grest. I don't remember what I do.
No, so the logic here is you Endurance so you can protect Wrist the next turn.
Yeah, I think I ended up Endurancing, again, paying respect for Morgdai because the graveyard is so full,
Yeah,
right?
both, right? It does both.
I think I do Endurance, but I think definitely I'm thinking about it. You know I love Risk, so I'm a little biased. I love to play the card. So I think, yeah, I do think I do because I do Endurance, especially because they have 3 cards already in the yard. Sorry, 3 card types, not 3 cards.
So HD Fox is talking about where you flash in Endurance when DRC is forced to attack. There is one issue with that. If the opponent is heads up, they will main phase Murktide Regent. So I only do that play if that's the only way I can win. If I have to kill the DRC there.
Yeah, it didn't matter, right? Because it got forced. So
Yeah, it didn't matter. But then the good thing is now you have the Green Sun the next turn, right?
right, right. So now
And do the same thing.
we are free to go, right?
Well, I think what you do here is the same logic, right? You want a Green Sun for Endurance so you can slam down Grist to protect it.
Right. I think I do that. I'm not 100% sure. Like, if you ask me right now, the graveyard looks so full. I'd run to my Endurance for sure.
Oh
But
no.
not. I'll play the Grace. I think I minus aggressive here because they're filtering so many cards with the DRC. Is that so bad?
Okay, so I'll stop it for a second. Like I
Yeah,
said,
sure.
the previous turn we had the logic already. We're gonna endurance into Gris. I think you should have been consistent here, but if you already made the play, I think from here, I probably plus to be honest.
Like, all right. So wait a second. Like the graveyard was still full, and they didn't cast the Morktide.
Uh
So I
huh.
guess they didn't have it. So probably that's why I took the Grest
Uh huh. I just don't think it's worth it because they're unlikely to
to have yet another force effect. You mean?
no, they're unlikely to kill your Gris, right? If
Hmm.
they like they haven't been able to flip the DRC yet, so they're gonna have to expend resources to try to get it, and you can continue to block with your Arbor or whatnot, right? Or your token.
Oh, so you would plus there. All
I
right.
would plus there, yeah.
All right. All right. I that fetch. All right. That fetch. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So I go get the endurance,
Wait,
clean the
I'm
yard.
confused now. I thought you had two Gris, unless they're both gone.
No, I didn't board it too. Actually,
Oh,
I boarded out the main one, game two, because I thought it was Painter, and then after seeing all the Delver stuff, I brought one back just in case.
yeah. I think I still want the second one, if even if it's Delver, because yeah, and I would have probably. It's not great here because of the constructs, but I probably get the Gris and plus.
Right, right. So game two, I had zero. I brought in one, like for Delver consideration for the Delver portion of the deck.
Hmm.
But yeah, agreed that probably the second one would help.
Also,
So
a
here
little
I
bit of
have.
sequencing. I would leave up black at least, right? Like the option.
Um, can you no, you can't right click, right? I don't remember if but probably I brought in the trophies, right? Yeah. So yeah, you're right. You're right. Definitely, you're right.
So yeah, a little bit things here and there to just keep in mind. I think I think in terms of like technical play, um, the previous two games I think you played really sound technically, and just you just made one mistake that unfortunately hurt. I think this one you were a little bit shakier, but then the mistakes were smaller in the sense that they didn't cost you the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what we talked earlier, right? So both were mistakes, but the other games they cost me the game, and
And here you
here
made
they
some
were not.
mistakes, but it didn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So I wasn't punished by drawing a trophy, whatnot.
So it's kind of unfortunate. I actually think you played better the previous games, but then you got punished. And then this game, I think you played a little bit worse, but then not as punished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I would agree. That's why I told you, right? I'm overall I was happy with my play today. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, now we are nitpicking everything,
Uh huh.
but I was actually happy
Mm-hmm.
with my play today. So here bouncing for a possible glimpse. I don't know if it's correct.
I probably wouldn't there in that situation, but it's not a big deal.
All right. So here I regret not having Savannah. So
Right. It comes up every once in a while. I find that it's very fringe though.
yeah, yeah, definitely. At the beginning when I cut the Savannah, I was thinking of it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end, when you start to keep track of the data and check how many times you're able to hardcast it, or
Oh,
rather
small
you're not
mistake.
able.
Sorry. What are you gonna say?
Yes, no, nothing, nothing. That Savannah doesn't come up most of the time. We're getting Archon where Greens and Senating or natural ordering for it,
Or
so
we
it's
already
not that.
naturally have the birch lore.
Or yeah, or the game has gone that long that we have access to white mana anyway.
So small mistake again, right? I think you want to end step bounce to untap the endurance.
Oh, right,
Actually,
because
it,
it's a free.
it
But
it doesn't really. Let me see, because you don't have three. You can activate, yeah. So that's okay. I was gonna say so you can block with the endurance. Oh, you could have pumped.
Uh, but all right, all
Okay.
right. Okay, that's
Okay.
an onboard
Yeah, so
mistake,
this is the
right? Right.
onboard mistake, right? So that's a more egregious mistake. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, otherwise they missed it too, actually,
Yeah,
because they should
I
not have
guess
attacked.
it was just the last round, and we were super off the tournament.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I
but
mean,
yeah,
it
yeah,
happens,
can you?
right? Because especially since this is now at like 3-3, the stakes are lower, right? Like, and
Mm-hmm.
who knows? Maybe our opponent is like doing something at the same time or whatnot. You know what I mean? Hello, you still there?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
So it's possible our opponent is just like multitasking or whatnot because it's the 3-3 bracket at the moment, right? So yeah, both you and the opponent missed the onboard activation there.
Yeah. So here I trophy the saga
Hmm.
because I don't want the so I'm now I have more present the activation, and I don't want their tokens to go past the 5-5 mark, right?
Right.
But they just top deck the painter, hence making their tokens bigger.
Hmm.
So I still have a chance, but don't have the mana. So I fog one, and how did I lose from here? Yeah, exactly, Fox. I mean, at the moment, it seemed okay to me. So this is another interesting position, I guess. It's either keep mana for activation, or so here I value higher not sacking a cradle than putting another endurance on board, which happens to be a game losing mistake.
Hmm.
You're not gonna enjoy this.
Okay, I'm set.
This is
I'm a little scared to see what's about to come here.
the big finale. Yeah, you're gonna see. What? So I pump right, but check the math because of the single damage of to the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
From end of festivities,
Uh-huh.
uh, the painter gives me the killing blow, right? Because it's the fourth creature.
Oh, that is really painful.
Yeah, super niche, right? But
I think
yes. Oh my
this
god.
one, the game was really lost. The turn you didn't block. And pump, you know what I mean?
Yeah, where I miss a combat trick, you mean?
Like you missed, you had a few very small mistakes before that, but that one was really big.
Hmm.
Like the ones where you tap the Bayou instead of the basic force first, I think is like small in the grand
Right.
scheme of things, in terms of mistakes, and it didn't end up mattering. But the other one was game losing, right? Like not
Yeah.
blocking and pumping.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what can I say? It was like 5 hours in
No, for
streaming
sure.
too, so
It's
I
definitely
was not
happened to me too, and
on my prime.
no, I've been there where like especially the early for me, I play better the later or the more warmed up I am. In the early rounds, I tend to struggle a lot and make a lot of careless mistakes, so to speak.
Right.
So let's see who did well. True Hero, it looks like Slaterade, Echo Baron. Um, how many? There was only 53 players, or actually
Uh,
far more.
no, 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 no.
81 players.
It was actually 81 event, so it was actually pretty big because for some months now, Saturday challenge didn't even trigger, and today we surpassed the usual minimum of 64 by 20.
Yeah, yeah. No, I actually okay. The low key secret is, and I'll close this. So I enjoy watching this, by the way, Inigo, and then
I had a blast too, and I'm all in for learning. So I'm not like a proud guy not wanting to show my mistakes. I
no, no
hope
worries. That's good. Like I think you have a great attitude about it for sure.
I hope that they help somebody out there to not make those mistakes.
For sure. I think what was I gonna say? Uh I think. Well, shoot, there was something I was gonna say. Now I don't remember.
About the turtle,
No, not the turtle. Oh, that, but that's a different thing. Yeah, I
about the
don't remember off the
players,
top.
the challenge fire on Saturday. We were talking about the
Oh yeah,
challenge
yeah, the
fire on
challenge. Okay,
Saturdays.
so the low key
Hmm.
secret though is what's it called? The low key secret is I think the challenge was gonna fire as long as you told everybody if you made any change to the challenge, I think it would have fired because I think the Saturday challenge stopped firing not so much because of Ragavan, maybe a little bit because people don't want to play that against that card, but I think it was because people assumed it wasn't gonna fire, so they stopped
Hmm.
trying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
We when the ball, it's like a snowball effect, right?
yeah, exactly. It's like a snowball effect. I think if you had even not banned Ragavan, and you just told players, I guarantee you it will fire this Saturday. And then I think if you told them wink wink it's gonna fire, it would have fired. I think the reason is because everybody assumed it wouldn't fire, so it's like a cascading effect, right?
Right. Plus, I got to say, this event, something I want to really look into is the
Mm-hmm.
metagame of this event compared to, for example, Sunday's event.
Uh,
Okay, Sunday is showcase, so it's a little more premium.
mm-hmm.
But this event, I think it has mostly, or maybe 80% European players. So
Yes.
that's something interesting to look after because even though most of the people who us who like playing on challenges and whatnot would
Mm-hmm.
make the effort and try to play the Sunday. If you're working on Monday, if you do well, you're gonna stay up to 1 a.m.
Uh,
So in contrast, this you play at a very comfortable 1 p.m. until like 6 or 7 in the
mm-hmm.
afternoon. So it's really best time for Europeans.
Yeah, I think so too. Like based on what I've seen, like the Saturday challenges definitely has more of a European flavor to it. Um, for me, because I live in California, neither challenges really work for me because especially the Saturday one, I'm not gonna wake up at 5 a.m. I guess 4 a.m. in this case to play a just for me a low stakes event, which is the Saturday challenge. The Sunday challenge is at 8 a.m. for me, and that's still too early for me. I'd rather just sleep in. The exception, obviously, is I will try to play tomorrow's showcase, but we'll see. There's a non-zero chance I still don't play it.
I hope you do. I hope you do, and I hope other elves, strong players do too, because
Thank
I
you.
think I really think so. Ragavan ban hurt us on the Delver matchup, but because the metagame is shaky and not figured out, I think elves either is a really strong deck overall against the field. Like it does well. It does overall well. So I think until the metagame is figured, uh, we can sneak some wins probably.
Yeah, I think so too. Initially, I wasn't too. Initially, what I wanted was you can ban or not ban whatever you want. The only scenario I didn't really like was the one that happened, which is Ragavan only banned, because in my opinion that hurts the Elf Delver matchup. But then again, that's still only what 20% maybe of the metagame. So even with that, us getting a little weaker there, I think the deck is strong enough where we can still be very effective, and it's unchanged for the other 80%, right?
Right, right.
So there is that. Yeah. So again, the so I joke about this in these showcase challenges. I am very vulnerable. Like even if I do wake up at 8 a.m., it doesn't mean I'm sharp until like 10 a.m. Right? Like, and you can easily win. Two matches, or I start 0-2 and just don't finish out the day. Who knows? But definitely something to.
Yeah, shout out to the 8 gas players who want to break the curse on Newton. Get him in the
Yeah,
morning,
maybe I
right?
just pair into something like eight cast or Enchantress turn one games matches 1 and 2 and just sleepwalk my way through the first few rounds.
Yeah, get your own medicine back at you.
All right, I think with that said, Inigo, why don't we go ahead and post you some of your Twitter information here in the chat? for everybody to have. I think doing this for the first time. I know I reviewed Eternal Weekend with Jorg, and now they're doing this for you. So I want to say, yeah, that opportunity is available if you subscribe to like the Bayou tier of my Patreon, for me to do a review. Obviously, it will be a little bit different. I won't have you in guest like I have Inigo today, but it'll be a similar format where I just will watch the replay fast forwarded, and then provide my feedback.
Right.
All right, anything you want to add, Inigo? Make sure to post your links here too on.
Oh, yeah. I'm not very active on Twitter. I just use it for Magic Online.
Mhm.
So my Twitter, I think it's at. So this is actually my surname, um, without vowels. And then you can find me on Twitch and YouTube by Runkor.
All right, I think with that said, we'll go ahead and stream or raid somebody. Let's see. There is So Strong. I know that they are a modern player. Oh, I Justin is streaming the vintage showcase, so I'll go ahead and raid that. Yeah, so Ethan brought that up too. So yeah, I think
Perfect.
Justin is a good. I'm actually level 1. Good raid at the
Yeah.
moment.
Actually, I love his in between games. This